Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifestor, and I'm sure you are too, because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I am discussing in this video is let your results speak for themselves. I can't say it any better than that, but I'm going to explain ways and how we might forget this, right? Let your results speak for themselves, right? We've got a lot of sun today. When you are working on something or doing something in life, I find that is when the most resistance shows up. That is when the people that have always had your back, or the people that's always been around, that is when they might get flaky, things might get shifty. Say you're in a friend group for a very long time and all of you are working on really specific goals, and that door happens to open for you a little bit quicker than them. It doesn't mean their door isn't going to open, but it opens for you first. And because of that process, people start to get shifty with you and get an attitude with you, because you essentially are experiencing something that they want to experience, and instead of waiting on their time and congratulating you and all, they get bent out of shape. And so in those moments when we're trying to create something, we may have different methods or different ways of doing things, right? And what I find is that I've been around people and environments many times to where they have spoke doubt into what I was doing, or either they tried to manipulate my mindset because they didn't agree with the way that I was approaching something. And that happens on this channel all the time. I get comments underneath the videos, always some guy sitting underneath there saying, this is wrong, that's wrong. I don't know what's up with that, but whatever. I think it's just YouTube. So anyway, and they'll say, the way you think here is flawed, or this is flawed, or whatever. And I'm always open to seeing other perspectives to see, but they rarely have anything of input to add to it. And so what I immediately go to in those moments is like, well, I'm only sharing this because my results have spoken for themselves. Like, I wouldn't share anything that I didn't think was going to give the results that I'm speaking about. The whole channel is related to being a master manifester. And that's not saying that manifesting is something that everybody doesn't do, but this is how we redirect the energy and the focus and the attitude, and we get the desires lined up, and we create the things that we want to experience instead of just being on autopilot. And what everybody else is creating, we're just getting the leftovers of that, and we're just kind of there, And so because I'm always talking about that, I live a life like that. I don't live a life that of aspiring to think that way. I've let go of the reins a long time ago. I live in a space where a lot of people would call it fear. They would be very fearful of the space that I live in, because I don't necessarily like being tethered to specific ways of being all the time, like forever, right? I don't necessarily like to say this is the only way that this can work out and this can be. I always like to see, where is that another way to look at that? There's another opportunity there. There's another perspective there. And I found it's made an abundant, really expansive and joyful experience for me. So when I say let your results speak for themselves, is that I wouldn't share anything related to how I operate if my results were not what I wanted to experience, right? So if you have a way of looking at life, or a way of being, or a way of operating that may not be in alignment with what other people see or think or do or act, or how they, view the world, you have to sit back and say, what am I experiencing? Like, what are my results? What are my outcomes? Is it what I want to experience? Am I enjoying my life day to day? Do I have peace? Do I have freedom, right? Am I abundant? Or do I have the results that I want to experience? And if that is the case, then that's all you got to be. You don't have to call anybody up and tell them, see, this is working. This is how it goes. This is what I'm doing. You don't have to try to convince anybody of anything that you got going on in your life, and whether or not you're making the right decision or you're making the wrong decision, or whether or not they approve or they don't approve, all these things. What do your results say? Let your results speak for itself. And if you don't have results specifically in the way that you want to yet, I'm a strong believer that we are super intuitive beings. And because I know that we are intuitive beings, you will get intuition when you're on the path. You will get so much deep intuition about where you should go and what you should be aligned with and what should be your next steps, right? And some of those days we might get shaky. We might start feeling like, oh, is this right? Is this? But it's only for brief moments. And then we get back on that path of knowing that our intuition is clear. It's clear that I don't see the results quite yet with this, but I know that it's working out for me. And And when those things actually do work out, or they happen, or you get a manifestation that you've been working on for a long time, or you create something in your life that you wanted to experience for a minute, there's no need to sit around and try to go back and tell people, see, and when everybody said that this wasn't going to work, look how it worked out in my life. Look how people can see. And what does it even matter? You're the one experiencing the greatness that you've created. You're the one experiencing the outcomes. You're the one who gets to reap all the benefits of all of the energy and time that you put into creating a specific life that you choose, right? So get in the mindset of taking your focus off of what other people are doing, what they're saying, what they're thinking, what they think you're doing, what they think you're not doing, and what they think you don't have. Man, the amount of people that walk around trying to show other people what they have all the time, it's like insane. It's like they can't even live in a house without showing people everything related to it. Buy a car without putting a new picture online. Go on a vacation without, taking pictures every second and doing shorts and lives and all that kind of stuff. I'm not judging none of this, but we have to look at the motives behind it. Are we trying to show people that, look at me, everything that I said was exactly the way I said it was going to be? Or are we just living in the beauty, living in the outcome, living in the results, and just like letting those results speak for themselves, right? Letting the outcomes be the outcomes. You don't have to chase anybody's attention span, because this is what's going to happen 9 times out of 10 when you do achieve these things or create these things in your life, or you do experience them. Half of the people that you're worrying about showing your results to or your outcomes to, they're not going to care anyway. And if they do care, they're not going to show it to you, and they're going to be silent. I remember going to a therapist once because I love therapy. I love bouncing my ideas off of somebody who's not involved in my personal life. And this was one of the best ones I visited, but we had a similar background. She was in corporate, and at the time I was too. And she was like, lots of similarities. I won't even go in any deeper, but we understood each other really well. And it kind of is always like a conversation with me, but she was just talking about how when the outcomes do come, she was like, they're going to be ready or silent. She was like, because you were right. You were right that you knew what was best for your life, that you got in alignment, that you worked with the creator, that you tapped into source energy. And you were right that was the way to go, that was what was for you. And she was like, and when that happens, she was like, you're not going to hear anything. You're only going to hear something if your results were what you didn't want and it pleased them that you were not successful in something or something didn't work out for you. So even then, when I heard this a long time ago, it resonated very deeply with me. Let your results speak for itself. Spend all of your time and energy and focus on what you're creating, sending out that beautiful love and energy and peace and freedom and all that kind of stuff to other people. Practicing your gratitude regularly. I always say a life without gratitude is a life not lived. Practicing your gratitude all the time. Gratitude can pretty much be a religion. That's how strong of a practice it should be. And, getting out there and making sure you're sharing the energy that you want to experience in the world. When you're doing all those things and you're creating in that space, you don't have time to look around and think about whether or not somebody knows that you graduated from college, whether somebody knows that you got the promotion at work, whether somebody knows that you're driving the $80,000 car. It doesn't even really matter. Because funny enough about these sort of things, when you take your mind off it and you go do something else and you give your attention to the things that are really expanding and growing you, they'll see your results by mistake. They'll see your results by happenstance. And when they see the results, you won't even care, right? And then you'll remember, Holistic Manifesting said, let those results speak for themselves. Well, you may not remember that, but you may. You may be like, oh, this is the moment where my results are speaking for themselves. I don't have to fight anybody. I don't have to try to convince anybody. I don't have to change anybody's mind about anything. All I have to do is step back and look at my life and say, hey, am I getting the results that I set out to get? Am I living in the outcomes that I want to experience? And if that answer is a resounding yes, then don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Anyway, let your results speak for themselves. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.